Well, they tried.
Which part is like
That's a reading.
not going.
This is a little, it's got, but it's not, it's, I had a couple of great, just sort of like, I actually went out at the bottom. For it was slow. Maybe last year I. Well, that's good.
You're gonna say it first.
I'm gonna make it. They're gonna fit next year.
Yeah.
I'm such a yo-yo. Well, hello. So your team teaching today?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You are, okay, yeah. Good morning, everyone online and in person. Should we give everyone 5 minutes to trickle in, 2 minutes? What do we usually?
Yeah,
They were being, yeah, it seems like every day it gets a little later and later, doesn't it?
Well. Should have told everybody the door's shut. That's it. I'm just kidding.
Well, it could also.
It could be, it's a little slippery, right? Let's give everyone a couple minutes. I'll introduce myself, you know who I am.
No, I know.
Yeah, I'm Andy Harwood. I co-own the Harwood team here at wonderful Keller Williams Premier Realty. Melissa and Adrina are on our team. So thank you for being here tonight.
I've already signed it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might as well just start, because it's like regular gas, so just.
Yes, and it looks like we're talking today about lead follow-up. Keep every lead. That's a very good topic. So I'll go through this presentation, but let's just keep this kind of informal. I mean, I want to hear your ideas. I'll share what works in my world, and we'll just go from there. Let's see. Okay. So, oh, and in terms of timing, how long do I have? Or do we split at a certain point, right? Like we take.
I think we break typically after an hour, and then we have 2 hours of presentation, and then the last hour is supposed to be our work time.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I've got until 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
For part one of this.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. So they say this is a lead generation business. Totally true, of course. But I would say it's actually more of a lead follow-up business, because generating leads is one thing. Keeping them and following up on them is absolutely the key to the business. That's in fact, I call that the danger zone. That's where this starts to fall apart. You get a lead. Anybody can generate a lead, but the real skill is in following up and turning that lead into a customer. It's not a customer until they get signed, until they sign a contract, a listing contract, or a buyer up, really. So the name of the game is to get an appointment set and to get them signed as a customer. How long has everybody been in the business? You're just getting started. Second week. Awesome. Yeah, April. Yeah.
Amy's been in the business 17 years.
Yeah.
And then I've been with her for 9.
Awesome. Okay. So we've got a big range of things. So feel free to just jump in and tell me what works for you too. I'm all about everyone's ideas. I think there's different ways to convert a lead depending on where they come from, kind of who they are, and what the lead source is. So online leads are very different than in-person leads, or somebody from your neighborhood, or somebody from your sphere, or somebody that you know well. So maybe we want to break that down a little bit into different ways. And in fact, I got a whole class on this that I teach in Harwood team about, in fact, we just did one on how to get leads, how to keep them from slipping through your fingers. So let's say that you're out, doing something in your neighborhood, school, church, whatever, and people are having conversations about real estate. One of the things that I think is really an important skill to hone, and it took me some time to do it, is to learn how to develop your antennae for leads. When people start having conversations, or you start to hear an inkling of something about somebody is considering moving, or maybe they're gonna have another baby and they don't have another bedroom, or they're thinking about downsizing or whatever, there might be just a little nugget of something. And it might be just the tiniest glimmer of something that if you peel the onion and ask them a question, then that could actually turn into a lead and turn into a customer. And it could be just the tiniest difference between it just vanishing into thin air, or between going down a conversational route into finding that actually they have a real estate need. So I've thought about it many times, like we're listing this house, and gosh, if we just hadn't asked one question back 3 months ago, we wouldn't have this listing right now. No way. It's almost scary to think about. So when you're out talking to people, develop your antenna. You've got to be tuned in to listening for those little glimmers of things that you can turn into a conversation. And it might not be about them, it might be about somebody that they know. It might not have even been initiated by you. A lot of lead generation, I found, is less about asking direct questions, although it can be like, who do you know who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate this year? It certainly can be that, hey, Andrea, oh my goodness, we almost totally have green here today.
Well, this is such a pitch. I feel like getting pitched today.
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily have to come from directly asking, but of course, that's a good idea too. It could just come from those little offhand conversations. So when you have those little nuggets and you peel the onion and you realize somebody has a real estate need, there's another danger zone where, hey, good morning, where you could certainly lose the lead at that point. And that is when you do this. Oh, so your neighbor is thinking about moving. Awesome. Here's my card. Could you give it to them? Do you know where it's gonna go? Well, it'll probably make it to them, but they'll never call you. I'd say there's a 2% chance they're ever gonna call you. So people don't understand this. People who aren't in sales they don't get it, that you have to make an introduction. They just don't understand how it works. So they're totally well intentioned. Yeah, sure, of course, I'll give your card to my neighbor and I'll put in the good word for you. The neighbor has meanwhile talked to their other friends who have had, oh, my realtor's great. And so you got a chance of it, but you have a huge chance of it if you can get the appointment. Then your chances go up to probably 70–80% if you can get the appointment. So I found that you've got to train people to make the referral. You've got to tell them, do you know or you got to ask them, do you know your neighbor well enough to make an introduction to me? And they may or may not. Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I'm Andy. Andy from the West Harwood team. So you've got to explain to them how to refer you. You've almost got to train people in the art of referring you. So a good script to use with that is something like, do you know your neighbor well enough? Do you feel comfortable making an introduction, putting us on a text together? Would you put us on an email together? Do you have their number? Do you think it'd be okay if I call that person? If you don't have the number, a name, contact info, there's not a whole lot you can do. Now, some people are not willing to give that out, or they don't know the person well enough or whatever. But you can at least ask. All this increases your chances greatly. And then at that point, you've got to get the appointment. So you really don't have anything until you have the appointment. And that's really your only job at that point, is to set the appointment. Call the lead, say how you got their number. And or hopefully you're on a text or something together. And all you really need to do in the case of a listing appointment is just ask if there's a time that you could stop by and see their house. And in the case of a buyer consultation, ask if there's a time that we could have on a quick call. Just introduce yourself. Don't pitch it as a big, huge to do necessarily, unless they sound like they're really serious right off the bat and you want to set up a full buyer consult. It's usually better just to hop on a call and cement the relationship. Thoughts on that?
I think it's really good to like, especially if they've never given a referral before.
Yeah.
They'd be like, well, I'll just hand over a card and never speak of it again. So I think, yeah, training them
Yeah.
to do it, and then I think it's a lot easier and it's less intimidating for them, especially if they're willing to hide their name group.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what else. I did look through this deck. And we can go through some of this. So is everyone familiar with this? There's people move approximately every 7 to 10 years. So if you know somebody's been in their house for a while, that's a good indicator too, that you might want to keep your antennae up when you talk to friends, relatives, people you know from various social situations. If somebody's just moved, who knows, right? But that's a good thing to keep in mind. Yeah, this is a really good point. I come from an advertising background, branding and marketing background. And one of the things I learned in the advertising business is that the public can only have about 2 or 3 brands in their mind at one time. Give me 3 colas. Pepsi and RC Cola. Right? Luxury cars. Elegant luxury. Mercedes, BMW.
Orange,
Okay, yeah, Ford's car, I'd say.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever, right, okay, so you get the point, so. Realtors are easily forgettable. We think that we're also great. And we are, but there's just too many of us. There's way too many of us. And so, and it's amazing because I found that people who I think know us really well still don't connect the dots or don't remember us. It's shocking to me how many people will still say, even with all the social media, all the marketing we do, all the staying in touch, all the follow-ups and things like that. People will still say, oh, I completely forgot you guys are in real estate. Or Andy, are you a realtor too? Is it? Oh, I didn't know you were a realtor too. I thought it was just Shareline. And some of these people I know well, you know, and they're not thinking of these things. So so Keller Williams has some recommendations. And we can go through all this, and I don't disagree with anything up here. But I want to give you what I think is the secret sauce. And I think it's, I don't know, I don't see anything in here about this. And I didn't hear anything about this at KW or anywhere else until somebody explained it to me and I had a big aha about it. And I think the secret sauce is when it comes to any kind of leads, I don't care what source, I don't care where it is, what stage it's at. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. And if you do that, you're going to have a much higher rate of success than almost anybody out there. Because most realtors are following some kind of a follow-up, formulaic follow-up system. If they're doing it, and that's certainly better than not following up. I'm all for doing it. But how would you like to get, or how do you like that when a salesperson bombards you? 10 contacts in 10 days. People have tried to sell me on that. 10 contacts in 10 days for an online lead. If I'm an online lead coming in and I get bombarded by Andy Harwood or Andy Harwood's ISA, is that going to work? I don't think so. As much as I think if you do it in a more nuanced and a more personal way and you reach out really from a more genuine place. And I'm not saying that these follow-up systems aren't genuine. I'm just saying that if it's somebody who doesn't know you already, they don't know anything about you. They don't know if you're cool, nice person, great to work with. You're just another salesperson. You're just another realtor. You're a used car salesman. You charge 6% and make houses more expensive. So until you break that barrier of trust and get them feeling like you're somebody that they can have a conversation with, I think that's the name of the game. So secret sauce is try to put yourself in that lead's shoes and think about how, if you were on their side, how would you want to be approached about this conversation? And where are they at in the process? What information do they need right now? What kind of engagement? And if you can think about it that way from their point of view, instead of just from yours, how you follow the follow-up system, it's going to be huge, total game changer. Make sense?
So what do you guys use? How do you follow up for online leads, for example?
So
In there, just a different means, they don't know you.
yeah,
They
totally.
have some interest in doing.
Let's yeah, totally. I will answer that. I'm just thinking about the order of information here. Well, is what I want to get into is managing a sales pipeline and where these leads are at in the stages. So, and then we can hit that directly. Everybody has a database of some kind, right? Command or something else, a CRM. I have been shocked at realtors I've met in this business who have been in it a few years, don't have a database. I mean, they got something, right? But they've got just a few people in it, 50 people. How can you be in the business for 5 years and you've got 30 people in your database? Doesn't make sense to me. Oh, I know people. No, you don't. You don't have them written down. You don't have it organized. Good morning. Hey, see Patrick's Day. You don't have it. You don't have it well organized. The database is absolutely the most valuable thing that you've got in your real estate business. That's the golden nugget. And the size of the database is the size of the database is the value of your business. You've got to keep that growing all the time. You should always have a goal to get more people in there through different lead sources, more people that you meet on Facebook or online, social media, online leads, people that you meet. If you get out and you go to an event, if you meet a few people, you should have their information, throw them in your database, get them on a marketing plan. We'll go into this. But But that's so important, and it's so important to organize your database. So the way we organize our database is by the ABCD method. And so A's are about 3 months out. They're transactors. They are ready to buy. They're pre-approved, or they can get pre-approved right away. They're talking to a lender. They want to buy.
Ready, willing, and able.
Ready, willing, and able, absolutely. The Bs are about they're about 3 to 6 months out. Or more, but they're shoppers. Shoppers are lacking maybe a little bit of motivation. They might have not a firm timeline, maybe they're on a month-to-month lease, maybe they're need a little time in pre-approval and they're browsing at houses. You've got them on an MLS search or some other search. They're not quite ready to transact. The Cs are somewhere around they're somewhere around 6 to 12 months-ish. These are all variable, okay? They could all be a little bit different, just giving you the broad strokes. These are the planners. They're the people who are they're not quite shopping yet. You know, they're thinking about it, they're looking at it, they're talking to the lender, maybe they're paying off the car so they can reduce their DTI, debt income, or something like that. And by the way, this is going down in the number of leads. Or no, up, I'm sorry. It's going, I know what I said today, I didn't say what I mean. So, the number increases, the number is increasing. Yeah. The number is increasing as we go downward. The Ds are, they're 12 to 24 months out, and I call them dreamers. Yeah, exactly. It's, you know, the A's are up here in the nosebleed, the B's, the C's, and then there's lots of D's. So realtors traditionally, we all want these people. These are, in fact, many realtors only know how to talk to these people. They're only trained in how to talk to these people, and these two. They only know how to talk to people who are ready to buy or close to ready to buy a house, and this is where a lot of this follow-up comes in. This is why I wanted to get to this gets to the heart of your question. Because the conversations that you have with these two groups of people are very different than the conversations you have with these people. They have to be. And this is where most realtors don't know how to do it, and they blow it royally. And they lose actually the bulk of the business. Until these people percolate up and they're ready to do this, and then who do they talk to? Not you, they talk to the first realtor that comes your way. Either primary or maybe you can trip over. Yeah. Very rarely is somebody going to make it up to the transactor stage and still talk to you if they haven't been nurtured. So that's what so much of this is about. Keller Williams recommends for your database generally having 4 touches a year that are really personal. So this is where the calling the leads quarterly comes in. Like you're supposed to have a personal connection, kind of a touch. Hi, this is Andy Harwood, you know, just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Whatever, it actually doesn't really matter a whole lot what you say, it's more that you made a connection. and that you remind them that you're in real estate. 4 times a year, having a monthly newsletter. They're saying 2 touches of, you know, we have magnets on our team, they're great. They're telling us to send a calendar. I'm sorry, I would have edited that. No. Come on, they got it. Nobody needs a calendar. So this is a good point too. If you can be a little bit more creative than what other people are doing. I just saw a funny post by a big brokerage owner who I'm friends with. And the post was, realtors, I don't know who needs to hear this, but don't do a post telling people to set their clocks and change them to the time change. 90% of people's stuff does it automatically now. Think of something more creative. Having at least one annual event party, something like that, that's a really good idea. Absolutely a good idea. So this is all stuff that should just be going on at all times, right, throughout the year. For all the people in your database. So like what we do on our team is we love events. So we've got several events a year. We have a couple of big client appreciation parties, one in spring and one in November. And then we have a few other things that people can come to. So these are great opportunities for lead generation and for engaging with our people in our world. They don't cost us a lot of money. They're a lot of fun, and it's great. It's great marketing regardless of who shows up. People show up, but it's more, even I'd say it's more valuable even to the people who don't, because there are more people who don't show up, but they appreciated getting invited. And then you have a reason to reach out to them instead of just asking them for business. I really think the more things that you can do where you come from some sort of value add or fun thing to do for your clients, where you're not asking for business, the better. So they're talking about this 1 to cement. I'll tell you one way that we do this with online leads too, just because it popped into my head. A great way to cement a relationship is to send a video to people. It's a super good way to do it.
What does that look like? What would you say in your video?
Hi, Jim. Thank you so much for looking at houses on my website. My name is Andy Harwood, and I'm co-owner of the Bass Harwood team at Keller Williams Premier Realty. I would love to help you with any of your real estate needs. I just want you to know that my team might reach out to you with some texts or emails, but there's a real person behind this. That's me. And I hope this message finds you well, and let me know how I can help. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you record that and send that out? Do you do a recording and send that to a lot of people, like kind of system? Oh, you do one.
You can have a generic one.
That's right.
Just have a generic one that you can send to anybody, and then if you have the time, do a personalized one. Just leave the name out of it. Just say, thank you, just say thank you so much for using our website. I just want you to know there's a real person behind this. I'm Andy Harwood. I'd love to help you with any of your real estate needs. My team may be in touch, or whatever your situation is. That's a great way to, and so here's another thing that Sherilyn's been doing a lot of these days is for birthdays, she's been sending a personal video to people. So Sherilyn, she's from India, and so she uses her she uses her unique personality and, you know, she's like Janan Din Mubarak, which is happy birthday in Hindi. And she says, so she just records a little birthday message, a video recording to people. And that's easy to do with Facebook. You can just pull alerts of people every day, look at who's, or you get notifications for the birthdays. And so that's a great example of a way to cement a relationship. You could also do this with sending somebody an item of value, a small thing. It could be just, if you have their address, it could be popping off a promotional product of some kind, something that would kind of wow them. It doesn't have to be expensive. It could just be a handwritten note. Put your magnet in here, or something like that. And then, what is this? This isn't like touch screen. Oh, it is. Oh, wow. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. So they used to call this the 33 touch system and they changed it to 36. I wouldn't get hung up on the numbers. I really wouldn't worry about it. I think this is a good guideline, but basically you're going to want the quarterly phone calls. That's a good idea, or personal time. It doesn't have to be a phone call. It can be a text message. It can be a DM, but it's a really good idea to go through your database systematically on a quarterly basis and to make sure that everybody, you hit everybody in some way. Sending a bi-weekly email, we don't do that. We send a weekly email, but what we do is we have a lot of people on neighborhood smart plans that send them listings. So we basically put all of our people in our database on a listing neighborhood search. No, I think you can do that through Dan. We do ours through White Logo, but it's the same thing. And we use White Logo, which is an online marketing platform. But if you get everybody in your database on a search like that, some people won't want it and they'll unsubscribe. Some people write to us when we put them on it and say, hey, I'm getting these houses, I'm not sure why. And then it's an easy thing to follow up and say, oh, we put all of our customers on a neighborhood search because most people are curious about what's going on in their neighborhood. For property values, houses being sold, that sort of thing. Just do it as a service to you. Most people want it, and very few people who don't want that. It's a super easy thing to do. Here's one universal truth about people. They love real estate. People love real estate. Everyone who owns a home, or even if they don't own a home, if they're renting, everybody wants to know what houses are selling in their neighborhood, what the house across the street sold for. Of course, you can find this all out on Zillow and whatever, but actually that's a big point to this. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just saying there's like 1,000 real estate shows, so it's like someone likes it.
Yes. Okay, we gotta talk about the real estate shows too, because this drives me crazy.
Yeah.
They do us so much damage.
Yeah,
So does the media.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no, we should just can this and turn this into a rant. Media, real estate shows. What is it, selling? I want to say selling South Park, that's not right. Selling South Park.
I prefer the song.
We can do that. Now, selling South Park, that's a show I would watch. Okay, actually, that's a really, really good point. All jokes aside, that's a really good point, because what does the public think about us when they see these shows? We make gobs of money.
And
You're doing nothing. That's right.
we're not out for them, we're out for.
We're sharks. right,
Yeah. Almost like shit talking, like.
yeah.
with the clients and stuff, we're just like, I wouldn't fly here.
We talk about say terrible things to clients.
Yeah,
because of
and
that.
each other, yeah,
And each other, right, we're all, it's ultra competitive.
yeah.
So,
Maybe in other brokerages, but
Yeah.
KW has an agriculture.
people don't realize that. When I first got into this business, a neighbor, who I didn't know that well, I wouldn't call him a friend. And he certainly wasn't. Somebody in our neighborhood, who I was in kind of a dad's circle with, loosely knew. And he said, "Oh, you got into real estate, huh? So you're one of those people who makes houses 6% more expensive." He said, "I don't think the world needs realtors." So, I can't remember.
That was
I
a
don't-
punch in the gut.
Yeah. So
What did you say?
I don't think I said anything. I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And it was probably I don't know. There's probably nothing to say in that instance.
What would you say now?
What would I say now? What would I say now? That's a good question. It's a really good question. I think if somebody like that, if their mind is made up, there's probably not a whole lot you can say to them.
I would say, who's gonna legally help you to sell your, buy your property?
Yeah,
I would say I'd try to get 10% more, but I.
they say, oh, 6%. Oh, actually, I charge 7.5. You know somebody who will do it for 6, then wow, that's pretty cool.
It's on.
Yeah, I think I would make a joke. I wouldn't confront that person. There's just no.
That's
point in it.
I wouldn't want to work with that person. Because they're not gonna see
Yeah.
the value that we bring.
You know what the equivalent of that is online trolls. Has anybody had an online troll?
Oh my gosh, I just had one yesterday.
What happened? Tell me about it.
This
This is on topic.
I actually let my fiance handle it because I didn't want to address it directly as a realtor, so I had him handle it.
Okay. 'Cause
So
this will
we're on the
happen.
same neighborhood.
This will happen.
I'm like, hey, somebody commented on my post
Yeah,
and they're completely, well, they just don't understand how the market works.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
so that's why I labeled it. Because they were just getting people ramped up, but let me see here. So I posted yesterday, we went through, or was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, we went and posted like the market stats, right?
Yeah,
And so I posted it just for my city in our city specific neighborhood page.
yeah.
And
Nice.
one of the
Yeah.
first comments on it was. Now is a terrible time to buy with rising interest rates, and the Fed said they're gonna rise 3 more times this year. The housing market is projected to drop 30% this year, so a $200,000 home will be $140,000 by December.
Hopefully that were true.
I want to do a buyer rep for December.
No, I just think this guy's close. I don't wanna work with him. That is clever.
Mhm.
I mean,
Play your game.
Chaz and I were sitting on the couch together and I'm like, what the heck? And he's like, I got this. And so he
So
wrote
what
up
did
a
you
bunch of, he wrote up, information, just came from education and contribution. And, they didn't respond anymore because they didn't get the, ramp up response that they were looking for. But
I would say, given what you told me, I think that was a good way to handle it. You could go back with some fact-based response, sure. But that, from what you told me, that didn't sound too mean. Like, it wasn't somebody who was coming at you, saying, realtors suck, yeah,
I think that it's good that we are part of each other's groups too, so that if we see something posted like that on your page, we can jump in and
oh yeah,
put some facts out there too. So
right.
yeah.
supporting each other is important.
Yeah, so still a troll, but
Yeah.
not like a aggressive, like attacking
Yeah.
troll like that, more like the person in the banking line when
Yeah.
it's busy that goes, what the heck, can't they get more people? Then everybody's just in uproar at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good if somebody else can jump in and you stay out of the parade. I really don't comment back to people who make a snarky comment on any of my posts. I learned this from our coach, because he has a huge social media presence and he gets attacked all the time. And he told me, and he's so right, the best thing to do with those kind of comments, so like to that guy who was in real life, in person. The best thing to do is either just ignore it or put a heart on it. Cause that'll really drive you. Put a heart on it. And then they'll just, you know. So in case anybody hasn't gotten the memo, social media is an absolutely terrible place to solve arguments. Prove a point, and convert somebody's opinion. Disastrous medium for that, useful for many other things. Okay, so the selling South Beach or whatever it is. These are the opinions or perspectives that are out there in public. You'll find this all the time. And even if it's not that extreme, you'll find that you'll realize that people don't always trust you right away. So a lot of keeping the lead is about doing something in this process to, or maybe more than one thing, to break down the wall. And have people realize, oh, okay, I'm not gonna get sold, I'm not gonna get pitched. This is gonna be a genuine conversation, or this person's actually listening to me, or I'm getting information that I need. And so a lot of the keys to like these different types of people, these people want action. These are speed to lead. If somebody's ready to transact, you can't be thinking around. They need to talk to you. They want to go see houses. We got to go. I'm talking about a lot about buyers here in this context. Sellers are usually, well, it depends. They can certainly fall into these categories too. But what these people need is information, right?
So in what you just said, so could you
Yeah.
buyers and sellers, are you labeling those as buyers and sellers ABC? Yeah.
Right. But especially online leads, they're mostly buyers. And the sellers are buy sells. There are very few people online who are shopping for listings. So yeah, so these people need information. These people need hope. They need to know that it's possible and to be shown a path. And they need information too. So if in all of this, if you can get the salesy stuff out of it and come just from thinking about where's this person at in their journey? And what do they need right now? Do they need hope? Do they need information? Do they need action? And where a lot of realtors blow this, they give the wrong things to the wrong people at the wrong time.
Yeah.
If you start bombarding these people with action, they will leave you as fast as they can get out the door, because it's going to be like when you go into a store where there are salespeople on commission and somebody's all over you trying to get you into a car or something like that. That's the way they're going to feel. And so, so the people who are farther up the funnel here, everyone knows what the funnel is, right? The sales funnel. You know, it's like this where there's like lots of people outside the funnel, and then this is where they engage with your business. A few of them make it into here, and then a few of them make it down into being customers where they sign a contract. So we call leads that are, these two are flipped, but we call leads down here, they're higher in the funnel. So what a lot of where a lot of realtors fail with these people is they mistake them for transactors and and this is my joke, this is what it ends up being like. They just walk into your funnel. They know you for 10 seconds. And then it's what you say to them. Oh, hi, do you want to get married? Oh, do you want a date? Can I get you on a search? Do you want to see houses? Are you pre-approved? And he's fucking go under. It's someone else. And yeah, it's too much too fast. All these people did, probably, if we're talking about online leads, or people who are engaging with your website in some way. All they did was click on a house, and now now they're gonna have to give you their tax returns and their W-2s. That's what they think. Oh, these people leave me alone. So Denise, this gets right to what you gotta do with the people who are higher up the funnel. A good way to reach out to them is to either start with that video message, like I was saying, or just thank them for being in your world, however they came in. If it's the website, thank you for using our website. I noticed that you were looking for some houses. Can you tell me a little bit more about where you're at, what you're looking for, so that I can help you? You could say, I'm not here to spam you or bombard you, I'm just here to help you. You can follow that up with an email, you can follow it up with a phone call. Most people don't pick up the phone anymore, but you could leave a message. Some people don't like to leave messages. As soon as I say this stuff, somebody will say, I don't ever leave a message. Don't do that. But I think it's fine to leave a message personally. And I would approach it exactly the same way. But what your goal is to get them to respond to you. And in the case of a text conversation, for the higher up the funnel leads, your goal is to really, my goal is for them to not say, stop, don't contact me anymore. Because I think that is when it gets tough. When they say stop, then we have to just rely on email, or we can still give them a call. Or we have to let it go for a little bit. Otherwise, they're gonna say, well, I just told you to stop contacting me. Why are you texting me again? So sometimes these higher up the funnel leads, they want a little bit more information on a house. They've all come in through looking at a house. So usually it's just about seeing if we can engage them, find out a little bit more, give us a little bit of info about themselves. And if they start engaging, then we can set a time to have a quick call or a Zoom. I prefer a Zoom. I give people the option because some people would like to do either one or the other. But I found if you can get people to have on a Zoom, they see your face, you really cement the relationship, and then the rest is a lot easier. And then you can kind of peel the onion in the conversation, feel out where they're at, and then again, if you can, it's just a secret sauce. If you can put yourself in their shoes and think about, if I was down, maybe it's a young, scared, first-time homeowner, all this is overwhelming. Interest rates used to be 3%, now they're 5 3/4 or whatever. They've got so many questions, so many worries. You've got to handle it with sensitivity. Empathy will serve you very well in this business. In fact, I really think that real estate is so much about caring for people and being empathetic. If you can get over in your head that these are these are leads, these are whatever, they're all people that are helping. Always remember that everybody is a person who needs your help. And actually, some of the meanest customers that we've had, I realized in retrospect, even though I hated the transactions at the time, there was always something going on. So buying a house is a huge deal. It's a huge deal. It's super scary, especially when you've never done it before. And most of the people who aren't at this place yet, they have tons and tons of questions, tons of unknowns, tons of misinformation. A lot of people earlier in the process, you'd be amazed at what they don't know. Andrea, you want to tell us about the 20% down story? Oh, that's my favorite.
So I have a buyer. Actually, we're gonna be going to see condos this weekend.
Good job.
So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Finally gonna get him fully signed and under contract.
Yeah, good job.
But he called me. I think it was close to a month ago now. But he said, hey, I don't think I'm gonna be able to swing this. I don't wanna get stuck in a home for, 15 to 30 years. I don't know where I'm gonna be in the next 3 years, let alone the next 30. And it's a lot. And I'm like, okay, well, couple things to unpack there.
Yeah, yeah,
You wouldn't be stuck in the home for the whole time of the mortgage. You can pretty much sell at any point. You're gonna make more money if you wait a little longer.
did everybody get that?
So-
He thought that he would have to for 30 years, because it's a 30-year mortgage.
He thought that he would not be able to sell that house and move until his mortgage was fully paid off.
Yeah,
Another misconception that he had as we had our conversation, we were talking through things. He thought that he had to have 20% down, like no ifs, ands, or buts, no anything, other programs or anything like that. This guy's a teacher.
he used
There's
to.
lots of, there's lots of stuff out there for him.
70s. or
Yeah.
whatever.
I'm like, that's
50
definitely
years
not
ago.
the case. And then as we were talking, he still didn't quite understand the whole, you don't have to live there for 30 years. He was like, okay, well, if I do move in like 3 years, well, I'm not gonna be able to pay off that entire loan in 3 years. And I'm like, no, you don't do that. So we had to talk through kind of, if it were to sell in 3 years, 5 years, whatever you sell for, a portion of that goes towards paying off the mortgage, and then whatever's left for profit on the top of it is what you end up getting
Yeah,
afterwards in your pocket, or towards your next house. But it was definitely an eye-opening conversation for him, and his original plan was for fall, and now we're going out this weekend, so plans change and he's way more on board now. He also was one of those that
mhm,
in our very first conversation that we ever had before we got to,
Yeah.
him buying, we were talking about
Yeah.
him coming down and renting, because he lives up north, he works in the cities. And he's like, well, I need to save up at least 15,000 before I can move. And I'm like, why? Why are you saving up that much to rent?
mhm,
And so we had to have that conversation.
yeah,
And that led us to, it's actually cheaper for him to buy a condo than it is for him to rent a space for the same amount of square footage right now.
yeah,
So he's actually saving money by buying a place
Yeah.
versus renting a place, so.
Yeah.
But it was just, it's amazing how much people don't actually know.
oh, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
the things that, we deal with every single day that are common sense to us is not common sense to everybody.
Yeah.
Him and I are the same age.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it just blew my mind a little bit, but I'm like, there are people out there that don't know
Yeah,
a lot of this information.
so how did,
Did he get all that advice from his grandparents? From how they built the house? It's like, I've gotten money advice from my grandpa, and he's just like. You can't have any credit card debt, you gotta pay everything off, pay everything in cash, like, it's very like.
Yeah, he
1920s.
doesn't, he actually doesn't have any grandparents left anymore.
But, yeah.
It was his dad.
Oh,
It was his
dad.
dad, yeah. He's lived at home forever. Cause
Okay.
he went to college straight after high school and then now he's a teacher, so.
Yeah.
He's just lived at home to cut expenses.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it was just him and his dad, and that was his dad's advice and his dad's way of thinking
Yeah.
that he bestowed on his son, and I'm like, all right, now I gotta correct all these years of misinformation.
So how did you
Thanks, no.
how did you handle that lead? In terms of the conversation?
I used a resource that I actually used for myself. I
Yeah,
went on Google and their mortgage calculator is actually a good resource to use.
yeah,
And I took and I put in, you know, what an average mortgage would be for like a condo that he was looking at for the size. Just made a nice round number and I plugged in numbers that kind of overestimated on the HOA fee.
yeah,
And then I took a screenshot of that and I sent it to him. And then I called him.
okay,
And
so you gave him
so he could
information.
see it, he could actually see the numbers.
Yep,
And then I called her, walked him through how the process actually works and how, you know, closing proceeds would work
Yeah.
and all of those things that way. And anytime he had, a piece of misinformation that came up in the conversation, I addressed it right away
yeah,
so that we could get through all of those.
okay,
Basically objections. Because it was little things that came up and it ended up building a stronger relationship between the two
Yeah.
of us. And now I told him, because we're gonna see a couple different ones, I told him, you know, hey, I'm gonna show you the one first that I think fits you the best and I think would be a really great option for you. It's like, it's got everything you're looking for and the numbers are really good on it. And then we'll go down from there and I'll show you ones that slightly, you know, they're missing something as we go along. And his comment to me was, thank you so much. I'm so glad you know me so well that you're able to do that for me.
Yeah.
And so that was huge for me. I'm like, oh, thank you. But and if we hadn't had that conversation in depth and I hadn't taken, you know, 40 minutes of my day to just sit down and have a conversation with them and make sure that he had all the correct information.
okay,
You'd
so
be
that's what I wanted to get at. Did you have you basically set a buyer consultation and you took it through in detail?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, yep,
Actually, it was the second consultation technically.
Okay,
Because we
that's
had
a
a
good-
consultation before, but then
well,
misinformation relatives, and that was the second one, pretty much.
yeah, well, that's a great point too, because this can be a two-stage process. I really think it's really good to just hop on a quick call with people, but maybe don't set it up like we're gonna talk for an hour. If you have time to do it then, and just say, hey, we're already on a call, could I just take you through my buyer presentation or buyer consultation? That's a better way to put it. You can just do it then, but otherwise you can schedule that for, just get another one on the calendar. That's a great way to cement things. Hop on a quick call, and just, tell me a little bit more about where you're at, what your questions are, what your concerns, worries are. And then you can get to know them. But you do want to take them through a proper buyer consultation where you can, listen a little bit more to what they're looking for, of course. But also explain how you work, kind of how the market works, what it takes to buy a house right now, and get their questions answered. One of the things that we do too, on our team, and I'd recommend anybody can do this. I don't know if there's a tool for man, but it's easy to build for free on your own. Because we have a buyer and seller intake form. So what we ask people to do is fill out the buyer questionnaire or seller questionnaire. When we, no, not here, don't make these people do it, but these people for sure. Because then when you meet them, you'll have a whole bunch of information already on what they're looking for, where they're looking, all kinds of info. And that will give you a much better chance of getting the business because you'll know exactly how to listen to them. You'll also find out if they're analytical, kind of like what their DISC profile is. Now, you're not making a DISC profile, but it's really important to keep in mind, are people, are they making more of an emotional purchase? All personal home buying is emotional in some way. Or are they more analytical? Is there something else they're concerned about? One of the things I love to find out is what people do for a living. If you can find out what people do for a living, you know a lot about them. as soon as I found out that, so I was doing a seller consultation for a home that we just put under contract this weekend, in the sense of went to market. So I'm doing the first consultation with them. And I found out that one of them is a lawyer. As soon as I find out that somebody's a lawyer, then I pivot right away. Because I know that the lawyer is gonna be asking very detailed questions. And you have a lot of questions about the contract. Yeah. And you could very easily say that. Likewise, you can over explain things to somebody who doesn't want all that information. For God's sakes, when somebody just wants to get their house on the market and they're ready to go, you don't need to over explain things and oversell. Your job is to do more in action. Well, it's kind of on the dot. Do we want to take, is this where we want to
5-minute break.
take a break?
Yeah.
Okay, and then when you come back, are you doing lead generation calls or am I talking?
Yeah, there's more stuff at 11.
Should we take a break? Okay, for a few minutes. Okay, that sounds good.
Good. I would be over there.
Where does it go?
I was keeping my. Get on your day. Oh, yeah, you guys later. We just don't like. No, it was your tomorrow. I try them, feed it into. She has it there. So I was gonna come to the office, who's gonna be here? Maybe I'll pick it. Yeah, and then let's schedule some. In fact, I can skip their 7. I want to. I guess something that Steve, you can post on post there once it gets cool. So I'll take it for next year. And or something else. I'll get here one of the because I'll see it. I see too. You're on to. He's to be in this. So I wanted to cut. How he approaches the construction. What about that 500? Seriously. That's quite a swing.
I would be able to comment on that, not knowing the question I had to make this determination. There was no unique public situation. That was switch job.
So. He loved it. Good one. Interesting. Did you ask them if they got the house?
I was gonna ask him today, like, roll call.
Yeah. So I didn't get myself coffee and.
Because she told me 380 days ago. So. Maybe she just told me that just because there's.
Maybe that's a like that number. Yeah. That's a good probing question.
There's a. Let me check Kevin sauce and coffee.
Nice. Yeah, I found lead generation in that, in my red car. Higher end neighborhoods.
Do this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm getting a joke.
I had one of those on this morning. I did the same thing, but yeah.
They should have found a sponsor in
Yeah. So what else is going on? Tell me something good today.
There's a party.
Well, yeah,
St.
what's everyone
Patrick's
doing
Day
for St.
party.
Patrick's Day? Well, we got the thing down
Down.
West 7.
Yeah, and then after that, there's the parade.
Yeah,
Yeah. Lots of fun things going on today. Lot of celebrating. The
yeah.
other night I went to the worst tenor contest. My friend wrote my name up on the board, so they called my name to go up and sing.
Oh, my goodness.
So I made her go with me. I said, I'm not doing this
How
alone.
did you do?
Terrible. We didn't, I don't think we won though.
Well,
There was
wasn't
a
it-
lady that was so good. She was so bad.
She was so good, so bad, she was good.
She wasn't trying to be bad. She was really bad. There were some that were trying. She just was. She had a real gravelly voice. She
Yeah.
was tone deaf. She was.
Yeah.
I don't know if she won. I left before the results. They said we were all bad, so we all won. But they did choose a winner, I think, but I left.
Was it truly to be the worst? Was that how you went?
Yeah, you want to be the worst.
You wanna
And
be
he
the-
had an old guy. He looked like he was in his late 80s, but even been 90 or so more. He was that
Hmm.
old. And he got up and sang, and he had the most beautiful, unbelievable,
Too good.
too good.
Too.
Well, He was the end. They saved him for the end.
Yeah. It's really funny.
But it used to be at Gallup. They used to have it and they closed, so Mancini's, which is an Italian restaurant now, does that. So we're standard benefit,
It's really funny.
yes. Get to make a fool of yourself.
Yes. Well, those can be good skills for real estate. You often need improvisation skills, anything that you can do to get yourself out in front of
In front of
people,
people.
In an uncomfortable situation, I would say is
They like it, yeah.
a good, yeah, it's a good skill for realtors.
When if anybody finds out you're a realtor, everybody wants to talk about real estate. When you're sitting at a bar, yeah, that's a good place.
That's actually a great point. So what kind of questions do people ask, right?
How's the market?
How's the market?
What's
What's going
going on?
on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's going on? What's the latest?
yeah.
What are people doing?
Our interest rate's gonna go up again. All this.
Not really bad. A lot of these people are just, they're gonna die in the world, but they still want to.
Yeah.
It still gives you an opportunity to get.
Mhm.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah, any conversation you can get into about real estate.
No, we'll be back.
is great.
Yeah, that's sorry, I just had a quick appointment we gotta do, we'll be right back.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I'd like to say like all the. Like the transaction that I. Yeah, they will tell you about.
But I like it when people talk about those things because then it gives me more information in terms
Yeah,
of what
that's
people are
true.
thinking. Yeah,
Talk about what?
well. A lot of people had a bad experience with a realtor at some point. To a buyer sold, and they bring it up in social situations. Thanks. I was just saying, I like to hear things like that because then it lets me know what people are thinking and worrying about.
I've told somebody before that had an experience, and like, what did they do that made the experience so bad so that I know not, what not to do?
Yeah, that's a great way to approach that, great script. Okay, thoughts so far? Questions, comments? Anything you want me to spend more time on? And what we just talked about?
Are you going over command at all or not?
I'm not going over command. Just because I don't know enough about command personally to be useful to you. But all the principles are the same, whether it's in command or whether it's in any other system, it all works the same way.
How long did it take you guys to come up with all of your lead follow-up systems, and do you have it mapped out? I know, well,
I think Nora might do the closure, but it's not something that we use regularly. That's a good idea, though.
I have a flow chart, it's for the assistant and they'll follow it, but then the realtor doesn't.
Yeah.
Amy does what she wants.
one and apply it. You want to know more about it?
The way we came up with our, I would say systems, because it's, again, it depends on where the lead's coming in. The way we came up with it was, partially from, being at KW or Old Careers and learning this stuff early on. So that was part of it. Part of it was making a lot of mistakes and realizing how much business we let slip through the fingers when we follow this correctly. As your life ebbs and flows, you will, it's very hard to be consistent. It's one of the hardest things is to be consistent. So how we developed our systems was a lot from the times that we let things, I'd say we let things go a little bit too much, and then, you know, you get busy. This will happen to you in your career, but hopefully this stuff will sink in and you'll be as consistent as you can be and have good systems as early as possible in your career. And I would say we did, but there were definitely some holes in it. And as soon as you realize that you went on an appointment, a listing appointment, 6 months ago, and they listed their house with another realtor and you forgot to follow up, then you'll get your act together.
Or that buyer that you talked to just a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, yeah, we just put in an offer yesterday. We just talked 2 weeks ago. Why?
yeah, and you really have to stay on it with people. We had a signed buyer who were just have just found a house for signed under contract, doing showings. We're potentially making offers, ready to go. You think everything is sorted out, did the buyer consultation, and she says, oh, I saw a house on Zillow and I booked a tour. I'm gonna do that later today.
Show my part.
I wouldn't do it. So, oh no, so she thought that houses on Zillow were different than the ones that KW had. And I never thought to explain, I didn't still, there's always gonna be something, but I don't think that's part of our buyer route, but maybe it should be in our buyer presentation. But I was still kind of shocked, 'cause I still didn't think that somebody would think that. So you really have to, not take things for granted and stay in touch with people, even when you're already in touch with people. So a lot of our system is around, having a well-managed pipeline. And really, this is a lot of how the pipeline works. When I say pipeline, use command and make it work for you. It can actually be anything. Honestly, when you're starting out, it can be a spreadsheet. Sherilyn kept a notebook for a long time where she wrote lots of notes down. And I was always like, we gotta get this in a system. And when we started, they didn't have command. We didn't buy any expensive CRMs or anything like that. So we just used a spreadsheet and Sherilyn's notebooks. When I say notebooks, she had like 5 or 6 of them, all in different places, floating around the house. And then she'd say, Andrew, have you seen my notebook? I can't find it. I'd say, which one? So does that answer your question about our systems? When we got started,
Well, we must start.
freaking mess. It was a mess. But when you don't have a ton of leads and a ton of business, it's easier to keep track of things. You're not gonna forget when somebody puts their hand up. It's a lead. As you start to get more successful and busier, it's very easy to track the ball. And so I would recommend time blocking on your calendar, a lead follow-up time. It should probably be daily. When you do your lead generation, whenever that is, part of that should be a daily look at your CRM to see where everybody's at. Is there anybody that needs to reach out to? Now, that doesn't mean that you have to contact everybody every day. You shouldn't, because you're gonna bombard them and they're gonna get irritated. But these people for sure should be getting checked in with once a week. And it doesn't need to be anything big. It could just be, how's it going? How was your conversation with the lender? If they're on a search, are there any houses that are interesting you this week? Minimum, check in with them once a week. These people, it just kind of depends on where you're at in the conversation. It could go down to once a month, or even less. Could go down to once every couple months or quarterly or something if it's a long-term nurture. It just kind of depends. But in our CRM, we keep a list of the ABCs and then another list of Ds, and we look at them regularly, update conversations, check in. And a lot of the way that you can check in with people is nothing more than just checking in. Literally. It can be, and I really think this is the best way to do it, is to stay in touch with people with a, hey, thought of you today. How are you doing? Just checking in. Instead of coming at them with a lot of real estate related things. They may not want to talk about real estate right now. That's not the goal necessarily at the moment. The goal is to keep them engaged and thinking of you and keep it a genuine conversation going. So don't overthink it. It's more important to just stay in touch with people than it is to try to twist them into doing something different.
Okay, so what are some other common mistakes you guys made in following up with this, like when you guys first started?
Good question. Very good question. Name one. We made them all so many times. And that sounds bad, but that's the only way you learn. Really, that's, I mean, the best way, what does Gary Keller say all the time? Fail forward. That's the only way you're gonna learn is to make mistakes. And mistakes that cost you money make you learn faster. Right? You think so too? So, in fact, at one time, we stopped doing this, but at one time, we made a list of all the business we lost since we started. And, oh, God. I can't remember, but it was six figures for sure. It was a lot of money. And that was actually the idea of one of our coaches. Yeah, I've heard this from various coaches. Make a list of all the appointments that you didn't convert or leads that you lost and put in the average approximate price point or GCI and then add it out. Oh, goodness, painful. But it can get you in gear. So some of the mistakes we made. Well, I told you a big one already, which is when you have the glimmer of the conversation, not following up right away. So when somebody tells you that they are when somebody tells you that they're feeling like they need another room for a home office, because I'm just, well, or even at less than that, let's say it's less than that. How's your job going? Oh, it's going well. I'm working from home now. Since the pandemic, I thought we were gonna go back, but actually the company is just letting me work from home now. Oh, that's cool. Where are you working out of? Oh, I've got a desk under the stairs in the basement. You know, is there a glimmer of a possible real estate conversation there? You bet. Yeah, you bet. Now, you don't have to come at them all salesy and real estate, but chances are that family could use another room. And it's not hard to turn that skillfully into a conversation about that person is probably already thinking about it. Or maybe they don't think there's hope. There are a lot of people right now who don't have hope because interest rates have gone up. And a lot of the people who don't have hope are actually homeowners. They're the buy sell. So this is a real high value client for you. One of the reasons they don't have hope is because they might have bought at a really low interest rate and they don't want to trade their 3% or 6%. That's a tall order, right? Or maybe they don't think they can afford to. So that's a good conversation to give them some hope and say that there may be a way to do it. And that may be a very appropriate person to refer to a lender. Usually those people I try to get them. Have you spoken to a lender about your home buying options? Because that way they can see if they qualify for any programs or if they're just operating under some of those false assumptions, like they need 20% down or whatever. They may not know about bridge loans. They may not know about
First time buyer incentives.
yeah.
Yeah, if they haven't bought a house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
First
3
time
years,
buyer.
3 years.
Mhm.
It's been 3 years.
Yeah, there's ways to
They
get
haven't
things
owned
done.
a home in 3 years.
I usually tell people if you haven't talked to a lender, you probably don't know what your whole picture is, maybe possible.
State of Minnesota offers even a step up program, so if you
Yeah.
own a home, you want to have.
Yeah.
That's another.
So let's talk about lenders for a moment. And I said something about lenders like the dating analogy, but there is definitely the right time to suggest that somebody have a conversation with a lender, and that can be a big part of your follow-up system. Because the lender can do a lot of your work for you. And they should, and this is why you should convert, this is why you should cultivate relationships with a few good lenders that you really trust and will do a good job and will follow up on needs. And you should know thy lenders too. Honestly, we have lenders who, I love, they do a great job, but aren't necessarily the best lead follower uppers. Lenders here. So you have to take that into consideration too. If you know this person does a great job for about a month or two, but they're not gonna be good for the long-term measures, then you might want to send them to somebody who is. Because we've had leads come back to us and say, even when, so talk about mistakes. I'll tell you, sometimes we've made mistakes, but it's all worked out. By the grace of whatever, maybe getting them to a good lender. We've had people come back to us that we didn't follow up, but because we didn't have good systems yet. And they just called us up and said, hey, I'm pre-approved. I want to go look at houses. But we did something right. We got them connected to one of our lenders and they nurtured them through the pre-approval process. Now, obviously, you don't want to leave that to chance, but if you do that part of it right, you could save yourself the time.
Something that I found is like, when I'm talking with, a planner or a dreamer. And they mention anything about, well, I have to get my credit up. That is for me, it triggers something in my brain that I go, okay, awesome, fantastic.
Yes.
Let's get you with a lender. I know that you're not ready to buy. I know that you're not ready to get pre-approved, but lenders are also able to have credit conversations and they're gonna be able to make sure that you're going in the right direction. So that while you're working on your credit, you're doing things that are actively helping you and not just letting you spin your wheels. So that you can get where you want to be, potentially even faster than you were hoping or thinking that you could.
Yeah.
To have that conversation, I'd be more than happy to, get you with a lender that I think fits your personality really well, that you'd be able to work with. And so that's,
Great.
I use multiple different lenders for that very reason, because they've all got different personalities, so I want to make sure to get them with the right person the first time, so.
I love that script. Would it be okay if I connect you with a lender? I've got a few people I work with, but I've got somebody in mind who I think fits your personality really well. Who would say no to that? If you pitch it that way, and I always like to tell people too, just so you know, we have no financial incentive to connect you to any particular lender. We don't get any money for it, any kickbacks, anything like that. All I want to know is that I'm connecting you with somebody who I trust, we work with frequently, and is going to do that. And it's free, and they're not gonna ding your credit or anything like that. It's just a conversation.
If they say no to a lender because they think that they're gonna try to get sold on a mortgage.
Yeah.
I actually have a credit specialist specifically that I work
Yeah.
with that does free consultations.
Perfect.
And so I'll get them in touch with her
Yeah.
and she'll loop them right back around for me.
Why don't we talk about credit repair and stuff like that for a moment? That can be a great way to, for some of these people who are in your pipeline, who, I think a lot of realtors, dismiss these people. This is one of the things that I just can't stand, and one of my big beliefs, and values on our team is that we help everybody, and I'm especially passionate about helping the people who most need our help. In terms of credit help, achieving the dream of home ownership. I love it. They're not always the highest price points, but who cares? That's such short-term thinking. As a customer, there's no bad price point. It's business, and they're the people who most need our help, and also they can grow in their careers and they can move up. They can refer you to other relatives. Some of the lower price point clients we've had, once we do a good job for them, they refer us to their parents to sell their house or whatever, and it leads to more business. And they're the most loyal, grateful, and fun to work with people. Now, let me make a contrast in that. There's a difference in my world, a difference between those people and the people who need help, but they won't listen to you. If they're not fixing their credit, if they're doing dumb stuff, buying jet skis on layaway. No, I don't know, whatever, just not doing it. Then you can stay in touch, you can try, you can reach out occasionally. I would put those people down your pipeline to a very less frequent check-in. We've got one seller who we've been talking to for about 3 years, I think since about the start of the pandemic, roughly. And the house is a complete mess. It's an absolute disaster. I think they have mental health issues. I mean, they definitely do, no question. And there's just so much going on in the world. And there's all, what can we do? I mean, every time we go, I think we've been to the house 3 times, and every time it's like, we give them some strategies to start chipping away at one little part of it and move things along. And every time nothing happens, like it's the same or it's worse. So I feel so bad, but how much can you do, right? Similarly, I've known buyers who, they say they want to buy a house, but for some reason they're lacking motivation and, they just don't fix the problems. So you really, for credit repair people, you really need to find the people who are going to be good students. And a lot of those people think that they need some kind of credit repair company. Sometimes they even start paying somebody to do it. And that kind of breaks my heart because I really don't think, I think it's a rare circumstance that somebody needs to do that. I don't think all credit repair companies are bad or predatory. I think, I wouldn't say that across the board. And I wouldn't be judgmental of somebody who's doing that. I'd be supportive as long as I think that they're in something legitimate. But if I can get to them before that and just tell them, you don't need any of that stuff. You just need me and a good lender who will help you with what to do, who understands credit. That can be a great way of nurturing those leads. And actually, I think that's a huge, huge opportunity that a lot of realtors are not thinking about. There are so many people out there, and I think increasingly we need financial guidance. I think it's a huge opportunity for us to be, I mean, I don't want to go so far to get us in trouble with too much financial and tax advice and things like that. We got to be very careful that we don't go down those things that we're not licensed for and we're not experts in, but we can be part of their path to homeownership. And a lot of that comes from helping them make better financial decisions. So these are great ways to stay in touch with people and not dismiss these people who aren't ready to buy. So many realtors, by the way, what a huge opportunity for all of you, all of us. There are so many realtors out there, and even lenders who don't want to work with that kind of business. I mean, I'd call it almost discriminatory, really. I've heard realtors say things like, well, I don't work with anybody who's under 400,000. I had a lender tell us, we don't work with him, that he was sick of all of our, I'm not making this up, I'm not embellishing it. He literally told us he was sick of all of our FHA, down payment assistance leads because it was taking too much of his time to deal with all these programs.
Wow.
And if we could get him some more conventional buyers, he'd really appreciate it. I mean, I'd call that kind of unethical, and I would call it bad business on top of
I wouldn't be calling it no more.
it.
I think people have they think their credit's percent really is. We had a client that's just got in a home.
You're right.
But she called us initially to find her a rental property. She got her credit back.
Interesting, okay, can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so we got her in touch with our lender. I love my lender. She refinanced mine was twice. And so I could pull cash out to build decks.
Yeah,
She's amazing, so I got her in touch with Heather, and next thing you know, she qualified for a home. She owns it.
so we get leads coming in sometimes that, say I'm looking to rent. And I think, there's an opportunity there to say, I totally understand that you're thinking of renting.
Yeah, I'm just asking questions. Is there a reason you prefer to rent or?
Tell me more.
Well, my credit is so bad. I just really don't start.
Do you have a relationship with a lender yet? Bring it up in a non-threatening way.
Yeah.
Just ask if they've talked to somebody. And the answer to me is probably no. Or it might be, well, I was looking around online and, okay, so you were using, what, you know, in that case, they probably filled out something on Rocket Mortgage or Rocket Loans or something. And who knows, right? I don't know. Yeah. So renters are good pipeline people for sure. And I wouldn't dismiss them. They may be further up the funnel, but they can be good people. Let's see. I want to go through some of this. Couple things in here. Potential lead sources. Seems like there was another. I haven't figured out this remote yet.
You have to click on the presentation and.
Oh, can I just click on it like this?
Yeah.
Just like swipe it or something?
Correct.
I know this is working.
Where's the little clicker? Oh, that clicker.
Yeah.
Maybe if you put.
Maybe it should work now. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, it has to go on the presentation. You're on the menu.
Yeah. Okay, potential lead sources. Well, let's just talk about a few of these different things. Well, events. So when we do events, like I said, we do a lot of events on our team, and I'd really recommend it for newer agents because it's something that you can do at any scale. It'll cost you almost no money. And let me give you an example of when we were getting started. In our first little house, we barely had room, but that's okay because we barely had any clients. We we decided to hold a Bollywood potluck party at our house. And we didn't even make food. We just asked people if they would bring a dish, potentially with an Indian theme or whatever they wanted to, and show up. And it was so much fun. I remember our house just being packed with people, but it was probably, 20 people from our neighborhood or something who showed up. And Shirley put it up on the Nextdoor app. And we built a lot of our early pipeline in the neighborhood from that, for doing this. Got to meet our neighbors, they came to us. I'm all for prospecting. I don't want to poo-poo prospecting, but personally, I'm a marketer and I want to figure out how to get people to come to me. And I think there's a myth out there that marketing is expensive. And it should only be done later in your business. It should be all prospecting. I take a little bit of an issue with that because marketing doesn't have to be buying a lot of ads or investing in expensive systems. It could be as simple as having an event at your house for your neighbors and cost you almost nothing. The difference between marketing and prospecting is you go find them, marketing is you attract them to you. And social media is free to use too, in most cases. And that's a great way to attract people. So getting leads from events and following up on them. Here's a great way to run any sort of event. Before you do it, you want to be promoting it like crazy, and this is where you can use social media. It's so great, the tools we have now. We have like a megaphone. Why wouldn't everybody be using social media to the highest degree possible? It's amazing. Think about if we were doing this 40 years ago, we'd all have to be taking out ads in the phone book and in the newspaper, because that's where people are. That's where people are looking. Now, everybody's on social media. They're on Google and they're on Facebook and Instagram and whatever. So, so anything that you do, but especially events, you can be really broadcasting that. And it's not even about who comes, it's about who engages with the post. I'll talk about lead follow-up from social media too. We should spend some time on that. But we use MailChimp to send out invitations to everybody that we know in our past clients, sphere of influence. It depends on the type of event. Some events now that we do are only for past clients. And so we brand that as more of an exclusive thing. It's only for past clients and current clients. We make them too. But some things we do are for everybody, like we do the trash bash, the funky chunky trash bash, as we'll call it. And we can broadcast that out everywhere. And when people come to it, we meticulously keep a list if we can. Our team does that. But if it's on a smaller scale, that's easy for you to do. Just jot down who came to it, because tomorrow you'll forget. Next thing you need to do is, after the event, you need to write to all those people who came and say thank you for coming. By the way, I'm looking to build my business. Do it straight up. They came to your event. They love you. They thought so much of you to show up. There's no harm in straight up asking them. I'm looking for referrals. Who do you know who's looking to buy or sell in the coming months, or even within a couple of years? You're looking for leads. You can do it at your event. You could have a lead capture thing of some kind. You could do a little raffle. You could give me your business card or fill out a slip, and it could have a lead thing on it. You can do it where you have, you get one entry for free, 3 entries if you give me a lead. Mix this up any way that you want to, but that's all great stuff to follow up on. On our team, we often do a Indian spice gift basket. We spend about $100. It's nothing huge, but it's just full of all kinds of spices and a bag of rice, tapas, and pickles and all kinds of stuff. It's really fun, it's really personal, and it's something that nobody else does. It's kind of our unique world of things. So there's great ways to do that there and great ways to follow up, but a way that a lot of people don't follow up on their events, that it had to be taught to me by our coaches, is following up with the people who don't come. Most people won't come to it, and those are the people that you need to do follow up with too. And say, I'm so sorry that you missed our holy party this year. Here's some photos and video. We had so much fun. I hope you can make it next year. By the way, I'm looking for people who need help with real estate. If you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell, please send them my way. Great opportunities to follow up. And at your events, of course, your job is to engage in conversation with people and people are already knowing you're a realtor. They came to your event. You can have very natural conversations with people, and when you get those nuggets, follow up. And also, for gosh sakes, everybody has to get put in your database. Everybody who engages on Facebook and whatever, you've got to get them in there, even if you just have a name or a name and phone or name and email. And then you can start plugging in the the rest of it too. This is all about building up your database. Database is not just about the number of people in it, it's about the quality. So I think in Command, aren't there some like progress bars in there or dials or something that show how many addresses you have and how many phones and stuff like that? Database health.
Yeah.
This can be a great lead generation and follow-up way, because if you've got a just right there. So if you've made a connection with somebody, you could say, I enjoyed connecting with you. You know, I have your phone, but I don't have your email. Would you be okay sharing your email address? And then you want to just get some more information on people. Plug in the holes.
If you don't have their full contact information, you could do the client, the $1,000 client giveaway, because you have to have their phone number, their email, and their address to be able. So if you wanted to enter into that $1,000 contest.
Great point. It's a great point. Yeah. Mhm. Yep. Most people won't object to that, especially if you've made some kind of a connection with like. Oh, okay, so we talked a little bit about social media, but I wanted to tell you about the LCM system. This is a great way to lead generate and follow up with people and get more people in the database too. This stands for like, comment, and message. And I'd actually add one more thing to it, friend. So when I put up a post, I tag other people in it. I always tag Cheryl. Sometimes I tag another agent on her team, or Nora, or a business, or you know, if you're at a restaurant or a business, that's a great opportunity to take a picture, you know, say how cool this place is, and tag the business, and then other people who you don't know will like that post. You can friend people on Facebook. I feel completely comfortable friending people who are from my wife and business partners sphere of influence. So this way we can cross build that, right? People can come in through my world and they can end up with hers and vice versa. And I'll build this up. But everybody who likes a post, you can like their comment back. I just put a heart on it. And a good post where I've got a lot of comments, especially for people I don't know. And that's the people well, it's nice to have both, like the people who you do know, that's great because they're engaging, but people that you don't know, but your post has appeared in somebody else's feed, that's great too. That's an opportunity to bring more people into your world. So go through and put a heart or a like on all their posts. And if you can, or most of them, I can call you to say thank you or whatever. And then you can spend some time on social media messaging people too. You can do this for people who have engaged with your posts, or people in your sphere who put something up that you just want to reach out with a direct message. A good example would be congrats on the new baby. Looks like you got a puppy. So cute. Enjoyed your post today. I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother. Don't do anything from a lead generation point of view. There's no business conversation with those kind of things. Absolutely zero. Just make a personal engagement. And it's all about getting into conversations with people. And then naturally, real estate is going to come up at some point. And guess what? You're going to be the person who stayed in touch, who bothered to send them a message. Handwritten notes are great too. But whether you do handwritten notes or not, this is a lot quicker. It doesn't take much time, and it's something that you can just do every day. it's a great way of going from just being a consumer on social media to being just being well, using it for your business. Thoughts for has? Yeah,
A lot of really great information. Thank you.
traditional marketing, yeah. I don't know. You know why I'm down on it? Because we spent a lot of money in the last 2-3 years on postcards. And I've gotten business from postcards, but, and look, there's probably somebody out there who's rocketing postcards, so don't take anything I'm saying to be gold. But you can spend a lot of money.
I think the biggest thing with like postcards and any kind of mailers is you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
If you just do it once, it's not gonna really do a whole lot. Like you're lucky, but
Yep.
if you're gonna do it, you have to be able to do it consistently, otherwise it just gets thrown out in junk mail.
Agreed. I don't see it in here, but, or maybe it's later, but there's, have you guys heard of 12 Direct? In the MREA? 12 Direct is for people that you don't know, like for farming, like neighborhood farming strategy. And I think you need to be, this is probably where KW says don't focus so much on marketing and when you're new, because it takes a long time to build up a farm. You don't just send one postcard and then you're just gonna get business. Although that did happen. One time we started sending one postcard, and the first postcard thing that we sent out, we got a listing from it. So I was like, oh my God, postcards work. Where have you been all my life? Let's go. And then we started spending a lot of money on postcards and we didn't get anything for years. So you're right, it has to be consistent and you have to be willing to spend some money on it. But the 12 Direct is your farm area, they get one postcard a month. Postcard, and I'm sure it works. I know it works. It's just, it will cost some money and it'll take a long time. It might take 2 years to for you to have enough impressions and enough thrown out postcards. So I'm not saying blanketly don't do it, but when I had to find ways to cut our budget for what was costing us in postcards, where I'm getting one lead every 3 months or something from hundreds of postcards going out. I've got for the same budget, I can have 3 leads a day coming in from social media. So you just, I don't know. I would be really cautious about it. I think when you get your business built up and you have some discretionary marketing budget to do some of that, then go for it. Traditional marketing, I would also put in that category, and I know we're not big on this at KW, and realty, sorry. It's like bus benches, stuff like that.
Oh, I just laugh at that.
Well, it's just funny, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I see a lot of, it is funny because a lot of the benches that I have seen have been either
Yeah.
Max or United Agents,
Right.
so it was just,
I
it just
know.
made me giggle.
And I wonder, actually, I honestly wonder what ROI they get from the bus benches, if it's good or if it's just, I don't know, I have no idea.
Mustache added.
But that's the best, yeah, there's a realtor named Graham Smith at Lake's office, who's one of our managers. And Graham did he did a contest for who could have the most creative defacing of his benches. And he got in trouble with the Clear Channel or whatever, did not appreciate it. And I think they just about blacklisted him. But I thought that was brilliant.
There was an agent at our previous office that she, instead of doing like the postcards consistently, she would door knock specific neighborhoods consistently for different holidays or
Yeah.
what have you, just to keep those touches up.
Yeah,
And so every time she'd do that, she had like a little flyer with like a little goodie bag, or she had like these special little bags that could actually go on like door knobs and stuff. So she'd hang it there and she'd put a little something in there. And she said that after like a year or two of door knocking this one specific neighborhood, she got a call for a listing appointment. She went to the listing appointment. There's this little lady, little retired lady on her own, widow, opened up her kitchen cabinet where like a lot of grandparents will keep like a bunch of pictures of the grandkids and stuff.
Yeah.
No, it was a collage of all of the different flyers that she had ever sent out and put on that door. She had never once actually been able to talk to this lady because she always missed her, and she
Yeah.
kept every single one of them.
Yeah,
And reached out when she was ready. She's like, it made my day. Every time I got home and I saw this on my door, it just made me smile. And
that's amazing.
when I was ready, I knew I had to work with you. And so it was just really cool. And it reminded me when we were talking about, you know,
Yeah.
the consistency part of it, that even with social
Yeah.
media, as we talked a couple days ago, you know, we keep on posting because people do see it even if they don't
They
react to
do
it.
see it. Most people on social media are lurkers or they're not, they don't engage all that much.
And anything with prospecting or marketing or anything
Yeah.
like that, consistency is key.
Yep,
And
Yep.
stay in front of our people.
yep, absolutely. So I'm trying to think about more of, you asked a great question about what did we do wrong when we were getting started? And it makes me think, there's still always a danger to let leads slip through your fingers. There always is. I'll tell you where a lot of where they slip through is, they get referred to the lender. They're not pre-approved right now. And then we just don't reach out at the right time, or the lender doesn't at the right time. And maybe they start talking to somebody else, and then we find out that they hired somebody else when we do follow up. It doesn't happen as much as it used to these days, because we have better systems, but you can prevent that if you stay in touch with people. And you have all the tools that you need. You can set yourself reminders in the CRM to call this person in a month or 2 months or whatever. You can put them on drip. Oh, we didn't talk about drip campaigns. You have drip campaigns available to you. I think some good ones, right? Aren't they smart plans or action plans or something like that? I'd use the heck out of those. Don't worry if people unsubscribe. That's not, if they do, they do. Just get people on those action plans and get them hearing from you, seeing real estate. Is there a thing in Command that lets you see what houses they've looked at on the
Yes.
portal? Yeah, okay, so keep an eye on that too, because that'll tell you when people are hand raisers. And I wouldn't bombard them too much, but I would, or be too creepy about it. Like every time they look at a house, you shouldn't be.
You want to look at the house?
Hey, what? No. But you can see in your CRM when you followed up with them last, and I don't think if somebody's consistently using your portal, you could say things like, hey, like if you saw that they looked at 123 Sesame Street, you could say, hey, did you see that one? That looked like a pretty cool house that might fit your criteria. Or just find ways to casually reach out, or just checking in. I just thought of you today. I don't know why I thought of you. It couldn't possibly have been that you appeared on the back end of my CRM as a hand raiser, high priority, hot lead. But other than that, I just thought about you this morning. And I hope you're doing well. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Does everybody have like a newsletter or blog or something like that? Oh, let's talk about AI. Talk about AI for a minute. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
I heard good and bad things.
Well, I think it's a great
Dark. I have to
rewrite them.
in my own.
It's an enormous time saver. We're Shirley started, well, she got a huge collection of books from somebody who was throwing out her books because they're moving. And so we've got like 1,000 books in our garage. I'm not kidding, a whole bunch of boxes. And I was like, what the hell do I do with these? And, yeah, I know, I mean, there are all kinds of different books, you know, like, okay, we need more stuff in our garage, great. But we got this idea, because we've been doing food drives too. So we got this idea that maybe we could turn the book thing and the food drive into a combo. Like we can have a book sale, but to get a book, you bring an item to donate.
Oh, that's cool.
Or you can have as many books as many things that you bring, items.
That's, I like that
Right?
idea.
And so we were trying to, where I'm going with this with AI is we were trying to think of. We were trying to think of a name for it. And it was in the evening and I had enough for the day.
Food for thought.
Well, there you go. But I mean, that's probably better than ChatGPT. That is better. But I put it into, I put into ChatGPT, now I won't be able to find it.
Read and feed.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's what it came up with, but I can't find it, but I put into ChatGPT, give me 10 catchy names for a food drive / book collection charity event. And it spit out a whole bunch, and there were 2 or 3 good ones in there. So you can use ChatGPT to write blog posts, newsletter content, but I agree with you completely. I would clean it up, I'd personalize it a bit, use it to save you some time.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be kind of generic.
Might be a good way to help us with like, Facebook posts too, to get different verbiage in there and stuff, just
Well-
like for like little bits, so we don't come off.
Well, Carl's already using it to save himself.
Awesome.
Carl's our marketing guy. Well, it's after 11. Do we want to break again?
Yeah.
Is that a good idea? Okay. Okay. Is this all helpful? Am I hitting enough stuff that's useful? Okay. Let me know too if there's something you want me to go into more detail on. I'm pretty much hitting everything in the deck here. There's not a ton of meat in this. I'm giving you every gold nugget I have here. So the last hour here is, am I done? With my main?
We'll let you do that.
Am I free to go, or I'll be around here.
We usually just do like some lead gen stuff and then sometimes we'll come back together.
Okay, all right, I'll come back in a little bit. I'll be in and out. If I think of anything else I wanna share with you, I'll get it in there. Cool.
So what did I just sign up for ChatGPT and check this out, but I think food for thought. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I remember. I've got it. though.
Did you get your numbers?
Bookshelves.
Pages filling plates, reading that columns. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one quick question.
Yeah.
Videos, are you using like?
Not.
Because I don't see
Okay.
the next one. We just have cut a lot of.
Got that?
Yeah, we use that a lot.
Just for editing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also like caption, closed captioning and stuff like that.
Okay.
The reason I followed up on this is because, it comes with the whole CRM.
I know EXP uses Bomba.
Yeah, I didn't, but sometimes it's like, how do you keep?
Keep it short.
Keep it short, because sometimes when I press, you know, I'm not really versed on that, I guess, so. Keep it short.
Video class.
Okay. Yes, exactly.
So if you look at you start of the university schedule for like the reading calendar.
Right,
Our team was like social media and like video editing and like just video in
so
general.
when you send the video, do you do it with your text messaging or you do it?
Yeah.
Because email, because sometimes you run into just, maybe it's just a technology thing, I run into where it gets compressed and then it's like, that looks terrible.
Something you can do if you want to do it for emails, you could always create a YouTube account, post it on YouTube and then send the link via email. Then all they have to do is click on it.
I was just thinking, even that first, I love the idea of the personal video that you did.
Let's do it 3 times.
We'll do it for like birthdays, when people have
Alright.
birthdays on Facebook, instead of just saying happy birthday, put it on their page, because we've lost and everything, you can still do that, because it's not their touch point.
Right.
But then take and message them personally with a video message saying happy birthday, and never in I've always gotten a response.
And what that's even better for is the people who are very responsive. You have people who never write back, they never engage,
Mhm.
but if you send them a happy birthday message,
What are they gonna do?
They know that it wasn't just automated,
they'll write you back.
Right,
it wasn't just an automatic, like you just sent it out because you're checking something on the list.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily just say up, although I think it's a great.
yeah, I think my issues where it just seemed like, and maybe it just seemed like, well, that kind of compressed that. You know,
That's
where
the
it
issue.
looks a little fuzzy when they get it.
But it's
so-
the thought that.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Actually, I started sending video over the Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, that's
It's
how
not
it works.
do that.
Right?
But if you send it, like, if my fiance, so he has an iPhone and I have an Android, so if he sends me a video from his phone, which has a totally different like scale camera, if the iPhones, it's one thing that Apple's done really well is iPhones have fantastic cameras.
Right,
Androids aren't there yet.
yeah.
I like the rest of the systems, but the camera I don't like, so I remaster, I use the remaster thing on all of the videos
Okay.
before I usually post them. Because then it looks a lot nicer, it looks closer to an iPhone photo than it does an Android photo. But if he sends me a video via text versus messenger, it's all grainy and I can't really see a whole lot of the stuff.
Okay.
So
Are they, okay, so they're.
Android
they're
to
people
Android
who
is
don't-
usually fine, but
Okay.
yeah,
What up?
if they got an iPhone with an Android, it's just. all pixelated.
Right.
So then he just communicates with me, so I'm sure most of the time.
No, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah. So, but I use Facebook a lot for a lot of my points changes stuff because then I can send back. And that's fantastic. That, but they kind of doubled it up where, okay, well, you're touching base with the video, but in your CRM, whichever database you're using, whether it's command, follow, boss, going with that. You can add the birthday in there. And then at that point, you can add. Put a couple things there for the month. Or help. Additional touch every year. Then you can word something else. I've used that as a way to just slowly start updating on my contacts. As I go through the year, I'll take it every day.
I'm gonna go work with that. And the process, that's with the Travis Anderson team, we had our own. Kind of built CRM. So-
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was at learning curve.
How he's like, walk somewhere.
Like, something I did when I did. Take them there. I took and I,
Get into Uber.
all my contacts in my phone. And I converted it to an Excel sheet. And then, our team, we've got, he's an admin for our team, so they started all the costs for me, because that's what we use mainly on our team is follow up.
That's what I use when I started at KW about 2.5.
All
years
you
ago,
can-
with our team. Well, we actually,
Okay,
but I used follow-up tasks. I didn't like command, I tried, it's like, command was,
Yeah.
it's a lot different now
Yeah, the
than it
updates-
was from about 3 years back.
Yeah.
Well, from what I've been.
And, yeah, I get to see it firsthand here, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So we just follow up, but what I did is I had them label all of them from the source as contacts. So now I can go through that whole page of contacts, and as I start updating them, then I can put them in different categories. As I get the information filled in, I've created, I've connected with them again, or I can label them as trash, just like get them out of that group. Take off the tags, so they don't pop up with everything.
Right.
And just clean it out that way, but it was a way for me to automatically get everything in there, because otherwise it was just so overwhelming to try and get everything. First before it uploaded, and it caused me to, I joined the team July 5th. And it took me until basically around the holidays when I finally said, enough is enough, just upload it as is.
Okay, I'm gonna go do.
Well, I lost.
Phone calls.
I lost that like 5 months of time that I could have had them in my CRM
Right.
working.
Yeah, good for you.
It's better to
So now I've,
get a
you
new
know,
year.
it took me a while to get back. into this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Can we take a picture?
Yes, please. Give it all back. Let's go on.
Picture.
Elastic on it instead, if I was gonna put it as like a hair bow, or like just take the elastic off and put it on the head.
After you take it off. You look so excited.
Oh, yeah.
You're all green, look great.
Okay. Way too big. in this.
I didn't have really any. They didn't do.
Have a nice night.
Yeah, that's all.
Hey.
I had to ask.
One, two.
Well, I know the wildest green colors.
I found that saying you giggle to kids is better than asking them to smile. It's not terrible. Yeah. Giggle, it's fun.
Yeah, the second one, also there's.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, yeah.
It has like this, like, ribbon on it, and right at the beginning, her eyes were wide open, and then it's like, and shivering, and her eyes was like, oh.
And then.
I'm gonna be like a baby. You know how they put those on the babies, like those really tight.
Takes a little bit of joy. I was
Yeah. that would-
I had,
Like the baby.
I was at the university. and I had to do
Hey,
that,
when you're baby.
and then
I wanna hold the
a
baby.
few years after.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And so I played with all sorts of different bands.
Wow.
Over jazz.
Yeah.
You know, but I think.
Good evening. Well, that's like, unless there's a sound.
No, for the sex one, I found.
Smaller than I ever had. They are. They're older than I like.
And Leo, I want to.
Everybody in line.
That's cute.
After those years of-
And they, not a. Yeah, but
I'm
unless I
glad
have
kids
kids
are
or not.
not.
Nightmare. Nightmare for me.
I,
I never understood it.
I'm off, I'm gonna babysitting when they're on the same bed.
That's.
I'm actually not open tonight. If you let me know ahead of time, I'd be more than happy.
Thank you.
My- With my, with my oldest, I.
Thanks, Andy, but
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sorry, we had to duck out
with
the.
my oldest, I need-
Andy's, this is my
Like, I already bought girl things. Like, I was like, no, I know. And the doctor's like, well, do you want to know? And I'm
Yes.
like, it's not girl.
There's a new construction appointment that I needed to.
That's fair.
So you were. Hello, guy. Less than about 2 months. I'm gonna try to teach. I Travis Anderson's team was here.
Yes.
And then a little shortly after that, then we switched over. So I was there. And then my son-in-law wanted to get into this. And I knew he needed training. It's just.
I mean.
Right, it's so weird. And it was hard for me. I'm a little.
Yeah.
So the thought of. You know, there was one time I had a issue, the issue was. The person that I was needing to talk to from EXP only had a chat box, no phone number. And, you know, it took a,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a guy, I did probably explain myself as well as it was, and then the response didn't quite understand, there was all this ping pong.
Yeah.
More than 30 seconds. So there was just, I love my team, I love Travis Anderson.
Yeah.
I knew once this, you know, the wanted to start, it was a good time to
Sure.
come back here.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
So it's good. And then, you know, you've got stuff going on right away.
Right. Right.
Did you- you
See
guys say,
people in person.
Yeah.
Big idea.
Oh, did it just?
Right.
Yeah, so you're here as a consultant.
Yeah, starting a team, just starting a team, but it's, I mean, we're in our agency. It's- Andy,
Feel
right?
free to reach out if I can be of any help.
That, I appreciate it. Very much, very much.
You want my card?
I love that.
Really?
Okay, I'll grab you one.
Okay.
I took it a little bit last down.
Really good. I work on new background.
Much better.
Yeah, they might.
You can see like the little purple hue on my glasses. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Are you gonna go to the
Oh,
City Hall
dang it.
office?
I did that, but it came off the top of my head.
Parking. All that, yes.
See? That's Cheryl, our CEO. It's Nora, our director of operations.
Well, thank you. You get my cards, but I haven't got, they all say EXP on it, right? So I like to- Oh, you're a guitar player. I'm a drummer.
We are.
Cool.
Oh, we could start a jazz band.
What do you like, what kind of music do you?
You know, I play all styles. I'm not in any bands or, you know, once I had kids, I had to give up I play, we have.
I know,
my
they're
church-
the worst.
They are. They are.
The church I'm involved in has kind of a contemporary thing I play on Sundays and I've done it.
Instead of 2 in the.
2 in the morning.
I did the band thing for a long time. It's, I like playing for people, I like playing live. And I didn't have a problem playing the gigs, the bars itself, it's just. Yeah, it's just hard. It's just.
You know, I think that's probably why I'm single and I will never get married.
Why?
I managed the restaurant, I'm hard on St. Paul for 10 years. I saw just too many. You know, just took away all my faith.
And men?
No, in people.
Oh, people. I was like, well, there's.
that picture?
Yeah.
I mean, I always tell my husband, I'm like, after you, I think I'm just gonna find a woman because I feel like she'll be my better. Like, she'll actually wanna have, like, she'll help take care of the kids, she'll help with half. Like,
I wanna go have a wine night with you.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that would just be, I mean, he's okay.
I told my wife that she, God forbid, she left this world before me. Won't get married again, but I'd start smoking again.
So my wife,
Was a smoker and I loved it. I quit before we had kids and all that stuff. I lost her.
so my wife this morning, her comment was, she said, you know what I want for my birthday? I said, I don't know, what do you want, babe? She goes, I want a handyman. I said, oh, wow. Yikes.
That's awesome.
If that's where we're at, can I put in requests for my birthday?
I also like.
I honestly, I have been looking to we have a list of just like a shit ton of stuff, like,
The honey-do list.
yeah, I'm not gonna do it. Like, it's just. Like, as small as this, okay, so we have this counter in our bathroom, more than you care to know about me, but like, when we come out of our shower. When we put the counter in, we didn't realize that as you're moving through the bathroom, you will hit your hip bone. It's right at about your hip or your stomach, and you just nick the side of the counter. So we just need to like round the corner out.
Yeah.
I don't have time to like. I don't have the tools, I don't have the time, like, no.
You know neighbors that possibly would. Cause that's what I do all the time.
Yeah.
Across the street, he's so handy, like, so if. Well, and if my husband doesn't know how to do it, he's actually very good at fixing different things,
Oh,
but if
I'm
he
not.
doesn't. If he doesn't know, I'll always be like, well, go ask her.
I mean, I do have a neighbor, but it just feels weird to do that. So I'd rather just have someone come in, and
Sure.
get it all done. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep.
You know, you can just ask for tips and usually they'll.
This is
Well,
For what?
cool.
If you
This
say,
this
hey,
isn't,
you
you know,
what,
it's.
this way, I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
It catches your attention.
They'll probably end up.
Oh, I had my neighbor come over because I was putting in outlets and I was like, this doesn't seem right. Can you make sure I'm doing this right? I put in some outlets and something didn't seem right on the electrical side of things, like there was some extra stuff and I was like, just come over here in case I electrocute myself.
that is the one thing my husband will not do. Electric. He's like.
I'll do outlets and lights, but that's it.
Like, if he's adding.
Oh, no, I was just switching outlets. Yeah. Because I was putting in new USB outlets, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, I've done some.
Thanks for teaching classroom.
If you do, I got another one.
Which one?
We usually do one consumer facing and one agent facing.
We have to leave.
Class to be Tuesdays and Thursdays. Depending on.
So
And
I
it's
used,
usually only 30 minutes.
Chat GPT yesterday, last night,
Yeah.
and I had it write me 52 lessons for buyers and sellers. So that, and then I asked it, I said,
No.
now write a 2-minute script for all of those lessons in the style of Graham Stevens. Graham Stevens. I don't know if you ever listen to him on YouTube. He's a financial guy.
Okay,
Yeah. And he used to be a real estate agent. and stuff.
Okay.
So they wrote every single one of those topics, 52 scripts for me. So now all I have to do is just have like 5 different outfits and go into the room and just do do a video every single time. Or just do 52 videos.
Also. Oh,
I just need,
look at, they have where they.
I will maintain this and for me say, I just need like, you know.
But.
Set things in colorful.
I mean, like,
That's.
Set things in motion and then once it's in motion, I'm okay.
That's a lot of what she does.
Yeah.
She calls her job,
pressure fire, what
uh,
is it?
what is it?
Okay.
It's like- Running tag or something like that.
Turning taps or something.
Yeah,
Well, so like I need to implementer, and then someone to keep it on. So I need, like, I need to be able to say to like ignore with my person, be like, okay, I need this script campaign done, and then I need you every day to remind me.
I'll tell you right now,
Yeah.
a VA probably.
Well, that's exactly it. So like,
For a while. You will get that, but most VAs,
they're order takers.
well, and it's not that they are incapable, it's that they totally want to please you and take instruction from you.
Yes.
And
You don't have to use it.
the hardest thing I could get is something like
I'll show you.
No, it's- I could be doing better to help you.
Yeah.
Then it'll be like,
Oh, no, you're doing great.
it's
Yes,
amazing, you know, it's like, well, no, it's not, there's gotta be something that's driving you nuts
yeah.
about me.
No, I totally
They won't
get it
tell
too.
you.
Yeah.
So-
Nick was super quiet and respectful in this class. That's normally not.
Yeah, what's going on, you know, not feeling, you know?
Yeah,
Me? No,
I feel like you.
I know.
Honestly,
I'm just so frustrated. I just need to find an hour on this.
yeah, like, so this was like maybe.
Oh
my goodness. Yeah. Thank you.
I need to.
I also like bright colors in general, so.
You got dark skin, that's why.
she was younger in her career. And, you know, her compensation was increased over the years.
Wait, I am all about, like, the last person that I was to a dinner.
Yeah,
She was 110.
Keep calling.
I think we started.
Yeah.
her,
It was a little late last night.
Finding somebody, you can find somebody who's talented, who's young, who's out of college. And I'll tell you, the thing that we realized about her was that she had been in the Peace Corps. When I realized she had been in the Peace Corps and she had gone to Ethiopia for 2 years. Boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, she went somewhere for 2 years in Africa.
Yeah.
And also her track record at her other jobs is really good. She got a good college degree. She had been in a sorority. She had been leadership in a sorority.
Oh my gosh.
She had leadership background. And she didn't come to us complaining about the past job. She was frustrated. For opportunities and opportunities.
I'm sure they got that.
Yeah.
I knew she was
Yes.
bitching about the old job. She was hungry.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
how I knew, well, we kind of lucked out because we really didn't know. We totally didn't.
Yeah.
But that's, yeah. So if you can find somebody like that who's young and has potential and talent, in my opinion, that's it.
I totally agree. I'm willing to pay pretty good amount.
You can pay it.
Certain scale.
Change it. Yeah. Oh, no.
It sounds.
Yeah.
I like the corner cover.
Yeah.
That's so much more.
But it's not the work you should take.
Well, that, and also like, I know a lot of people, think, well, you gotta learn how to do stuff. Look, like, I did it for a couple of times, and I know that I like to get that, where I do this, it's really good.
Actually, I shouldn't
So
say,
let me do those things.
I shouldn't say it's more important. It's all important. It's just,
Oh, yeah.
you have jobs that only you can do. You have to focus on. Like making your videos and stuff like that, that's where I struggle. Is that you burn enough hours a day, and I struggle with self-mastery to my calendar, my time. There's always something. Also, it's too bad. Yes.
What I was telling Louise about this, I was talking to her. Yeah, I don't know what they do. There's more calls and patients and if I call them, it's gonna start so many fires. It's like, it's not just a 5-minute phone call, it's all of a sudden, now I have to set up the service, now I have to. It's not a bad, but it's like. Me? I was learning.
So when we hired Laura, it was 2019. We had closings, and we started her in January, we interviewed in fall, and we started her basically January 2. And they just got Christmas presents and, whatever, you know how the holidays can be. And I think I was honestly worried about the first year. Or maybe the second one, when those started coming in, I was like, oh my God, every 2 weeks in payroll taxes. Withholding, and it's like,
Cause a $45,000 employee.
So that's.
Yeah, and you don't want to do payroll yourself, so we needed an accounting company, so business by design. We haven't started that, so they handle our payroll tax.
You can always paint it in. Paint it in.
They do taxes for Kevin,
Yeah.
Chris Johnson,
Yeah.
myself, and like 2 other agents.
But that, you know, we pay them $500.
Yeah.
$6,000.
Yep.
So, which is money well spent, but the point is, once you start going down this, once you start going down this path.
Yeah, that. Yeah. The other.
It's not. I've been plenty of times when I wish you're going today, it's
It's got black.
maybe we can make more money if we just or solo agents. And I think there are times when we would.
I mean, I would love to just get to have an assistant and 1 other agent.
Yeah.
That's where we were at for a year. And it was pretty nice. Because the other agent brought in some business split and handled some of the buyers for us.
Yeah.
So that we could have some. That was going pretty well until we brought some more people in, and not all those people were the right people. And then we had politics, we had some systems that weren't quite right, and value proposition that wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
And then you had some conversation.
And we had, yes.
Yeah.
We did some various people. We're at a point now where we got a lot of that worked out.
Yeah. Have there been any kind of. Oh, yeah. There's bullshit in it. Stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
In fact, hopefully. She buy it. Hoping to clear.
They do, and they do it every year.
Let me grab that.
I gotta finish this.
Hello, it's Nick.
Oh, that's-
I'm done.
Yeah. Shut off the Zoom.
Yeah, how are you doing? Good, I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the right page, that it's gonna be 2 separate closes. Okay, okay, yes.
Depends on the man.
This is great.
Yeah.
Correct, yep.